everyone. This is episode 66 of Noodle Time. Welcome back. Here with me is my off-season partner, OSG. How's it going, sir?
You had to leave off season. Dang, it's only been a day since the Dash lost and fell into off season mode. Wow. And we still have Dynamo, so we're not in off season mode yet, bro. Dang.
Dash,
Nah.
of course.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Since it's the Dash episode, yeah, it is Dash off season, but yeah, frustrating game yesterday, and as we're recording on Monday this week, just golly. But Texans won this weekend. Texas Longhorns whooped the Houston Cougars in soccer this weekend. Texas volleyball whooped Houston Cougars in volleyball this weekend. You got the Texas Longhorns playing the Houston Cougars in football this coming weekend. So it's a burnt orange weekend and a week coming up. So yeah, but yeah,
depends who you ask, but yeah, it looks like that.
I know all the listeners here are probably Cougars, and then I'm the Longhorn, so I'm just rubbing it in, guys. Texas soccer 6-0 or 6-1. Sorry, y'all did score the last goal of the game, but 6-1. That was a butt kicking, man. Enjoyed it though. Enjoyed it. I was watching that soccer game, and I kept just flipping back real quick just to see how the Texans were doing. Then I go back to soccer because, of course, there's no timeouts in soccer. So I was watching the soccer game mainly. And then it got kind of out of hand, so I could go back and watch the end of the Texans game, which was fun.
Yeah, that Saints game was fun, especially the fact that the Saints need more kickers to kick their field goals because they missed like 2 field goals from close range. And
they did, and that would have put them into kicking another one to end the game, to win the game. So, woohoo!
Yeah, they should sign some Dynamo 2 players, though. But yeah.
Try. Maybe stick to LSU since that's their area.
Right. They should just stay close, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for this one, there's not a lot to talk about as usual episodes. Only the Dash have been playing last week, so we're gonna talk about their last game of the season, playing at Orlando Pride, and a couple other things that happened with Dynamo, in news world really, and just before we get started, we are planning on doing like a full season review for the Dash with Theo Lloyd Hughes. He is like a freelance reporter or just like freelance journalist that covers a lot of women's soccer, particularly the NWSL and the Super League back in England. And he's a very trustworthy source. I've met him in person a couple times now, and he's a very chill dude. And I'm looking forward to that interview coming up this week. So it's gonna be a good one.
That one's going to be fun, man. We're going to get into Dash, and we're going to get someone's opinion that really does matter on the other end of the microphone there, and get a little different perspective than just me and you talking back and forth every weekend, and not very much Dash talking in Chata. Half the time it's mainly Dynamo talk. There does get some, but it'll be nice to get some Dash perspective, especially from him, and see what he thought of our season and some of the decisions we made and some of the players that were on the team and what made sense and what didn't make sense. Because, I think everybody's got some questions right now. So we'll see, though. But, yeah, we'll get into that off-season review plus next season preview. What are we going to do in the off-season? Like you said with Theo, so I'm really looking forward to that one. So, y'all check that one out. I'm for sure that one's going to be a episode 67? Yeah, because this is 66, right?
Yeah.
No,
it's going to be a good one. But for now, I just stick to this game, and unfortunately, it was the last game of the season for Dash because even though they had a shot at playoffs, the stars had to align pretty much. And along with a high-scoring win for the Dash, and this didn't happen, so no players for the Dash this season, and snapping their one-season playoff streak, if you can count it out. But yeah, I was upset after watching that game.
Well, let's look at the bright side. Everything we need to happen to make the playoffs didn't happen. First, the Dash needed to win. That's not going to be the bright side. But OL Reign, LA, Angel City, Louisville, I think they all won. So we were eliminated before our game even ended. Not technically because all the games were still going on, but when you're sitting there watching the scores as the game's going on, it's just like, okay, well, it doesn't matter if we win this game now. We needed goal differentials too as well, and it was 0-0 for the longest. So you're like, this ain't gonna work. Orlando was fighting for goal differential as well. So the only thing, I guess the only bright side is we prevented Orlando from making the playoffs at the same time because we didn't give up the 15 goals they probably should have made.
No, yeah, and the other thing is that just going to this game, I was still fairly upset, only because the result against Angel City the week before, and
Mm-hmm.
just the fact that we had the result in our hands, and all we had to do was win the game, and we did the opposite. And I'm not gonna I'm gonna try to stay away from that game now, but yeah, and I'm only saying that because like we we could have like our own results and control our own destiny, but we let us slip our hands, and we know how to deal with like this situation of us like thinking about dreaming about playoffs, which is like as you mentioned, we had to wait for like all these four things to happen, and it was more like a pipe dream, really. Like if we were to make the playoffs now, and I'll like
Well,
I was still hoping for the win, but yeah, go ahead.
yeah, of course, but it pipe dream, no pun intended. The when we fired Lady and hired Loudon, she basically had to win all four games of the last four, so it was a pipe dream, like you said. And I'm not going to knock the Dash for waiting, or because they fired Lady and they needed to fire Lady, and that's what they did. So credit to them for deciding to make that move when they did make that move, because it would have been hard to sell to make that move a little bit earlier. But in the final 16 games of the season, counting the last three Challenge Cup games, we won three, we tied three, and we lost 10, which we started off the season okay. We only had one loss in the first six games. I think it was two ties. I think we were 3-2-1 to start the friggin' season. We were kind of coasting, winning 1-0, losing 1-0, losing 2-0, went tie 0-0, and then we just hit that damn roadblock. June 3rd was our last win against Orlando, 2-0 was our last friggin' win. So
No, yeah, that
it's just
stretch we didn't win like a single game in like months, so that definitely killed us for sure.
for sure, yeah, dude, just nuts. Our only wins came against Louisville in the Challenge Cup, 1-0, and then Sarah Loudon's first two games against Louisville again, 1-0, and then at Gotham, 2-0. Were our only three wins in that last shoot. I guess technically it's 4 months now since June 3rd was our last win, and October 15th. So 4 friggin' months, dude. You get three wins, and you somehow get three ties, and technically one of those wins was a Challenge Cup. So we got two wins and three ties to finish off the friggin' season. So Lady was definitely, you know, I was for Lady at the beginning of the season. I think we've said this 100 times, but that firing couldn't have come sooner, and could not. And thank God they made that move. So it does give them time to do the coach search and see what the best options are for them. And I'm sure they've been taking application after application after application. Now the curious thing, another curious question have for Theo for sure. Maybe you might know something, but there's going to be coaches that are going to be let go from their current teams, or any of those coaches possibilities for us on the roster that we provide for them. There was crap. I can't remember what team it is today. That was a rumor they're going to let their coach go. Man, I don't remember her name, but she came up as an option for Houston, just as a rumor or whatever, outside rumor. It wasn't like an inside rumor or anything like that. But I'd have to look into her to see if she's like what her style is, because man, it's just tough. But let's go ahead and just get into the game. To start the game, we did the 3-5-2 formation, which I thought definitely hindsight was not the correct move to make. to go into a 3-back. It should have been a 4-back, and those two wingers, Didasco and would have been Puntingham, pushing up and pushing the envelope forward on the attack, because Orlando brought it to us in this game, and the 3-back were just getting hard, just really hard. I don't know if you agree with the formation, or if it should have, or I know what Sarah was trying to do, but I think the 3-back was just kind of hard, and we've always relied on the defense being strong, but we give up opportunities all the time, and we gave up a lot of opportunities in this game, but they just didn't. Orlando didn't finish, kind of in the realm of the dash. But there was friggin' 21 shots, I think it was, for Orlando, so which is unusual for the dash to be given up. So I thought a 4-3-3 really hybrid pushing attack would have been a lot better than a 3-5-2. I have other questions, but I don't know if you wanted to follow up on that take.
Yeah, honestly, I agree with your assessment, and yes, it was actually 21 shots. Like Orlando was pretty much in the game, like almost the entire game, just just getting their opportunities in, and like only just a couple for the dash. And this is a lineup that we've already seen in the past two games, like not specifically like their formation, but just like the players themselves, and like we've seen like what works and what doesn't work, and just based with like three players in the back, like they really weren't like getting like a lot of clear opportunities and to to try and like force Orlando to like make mistakes, kind of like what they've been suffering for like the past few games now. But yeah, it's just tedious to watch. But I'll see we can get towards that in the second half. But the first half, I feel like it was just like almost all Orlando.
Well, and then question number 2 to start the game. You're going to go with the 3-back. Why is Jacobs your center back, and why is Linder your right? Those two should have switched places immediately to start the game. Lind is your center back, and she's the one you trust in the middle, and she was an Iron Woman the year before. Why was Jacobs in the middle? And Jacobs the one who it's been about every 2 games where she makes a crucial mistake during the
Yeah.
game. And I know she was due for one, and today it was Lynn that kind of made the mistake. But why wasn't Lynn in the middle? So that's a question that I would have asked probably in the press conference, like, hey, what was your thinking there? I know going 3-back, but is it Jacobs the more versatile player playing the wing, have more speed, and Lind is your more solid defensive kind of. If Schmidt wasn't on the team, Lynn might be a captain. Like that's the kind of role that I see her. So I don't know how you feel on that take as well.
Yeah, I was concerned as well because like, and this mostly falls in the second half. Like, Len's just getting outpaced by Marta, and like obviously Marta's like a legend of the game, but at the same time, like at
And
this day
Adriana,
and age, and Adriana, like at this day and age, you're supposed to like figure out a solution, like not necessarily like how to like stop them through speed, but just the fact that you have to like position yourself accordingly. But I feel like that position for Lynn is not for her, and that's something that I need to look for. And it's just disappointing because that's how we kind of gave the game away here.
for real, man. Lynn's got to stay back. She's got to stay in the middle. If you're going to do a 3-back, stay in the middle. And the 4, she's going to be a center back no matter what, obviously. So that's another question. All right, another question to start the lineup to start the game, and it proved out as the game moved on, because she really had one good opportunity and really did nothing else the entire game. And shout out to Nichelle Prince for coming off her injury after over a year of being in rehab. And she came out hot out of the gates, but then after that, she just kind of she just fell off the map, and she provided nothing. I mean, not to be so harsh, but she provided nothing up top. She didn't use her speed to her advantage, and I would have preferred, doing a 3-5-2 as well. I would have preferred Ordonez in that position, and then leave Alozi on the other side and let them work. But Prince, I, I don't know what was going on there just for the past couple games where she just couldn't provide. And I felt like Ordonez could have done a little bit more. There would have been opportunities with the ball coming into the box where she probably could have done something different than what Prince could have done. Um, it's hard to say when Ordonez didn't even get into the last 10 minutes of the game. which is another kind of mistake. I would feel like she waited too long to sub in what is supposed to be a prolific scorer. At least last year she was, but someone who is a threat a little late in the game. I know it was 0-0, but still, you need to score. You need to win the game. You're about to lose everything by the entire season. So what are you risking? Come on. But so I don't know if you kind of feel the same way there with Prince up top. And
No, because with Prince, she definitely fell off, like based on how she started the season. And I also agree with your other assessment that the subs have been coming in too late to affect the game, or like at least like change the course to go like in favor of Houston. And which is just annoying to see. Like obviously, like being a coach and making the right decisions is it's difficult than it seems. But at the same time,
yeah, of course.
like we haven't scored a goal yet. We're still thinking about potentially dreaming about making the playoffs, and you want to make your impact right away. Like just making your sub like almost halfway through the second half, like it's not the way to go. At least that's what I think, because that's just telling me like, okay, we'll see what we can do here, and hope and pray that we get 4 goals in, and just based on our current on that situation specifically. But yeah, it's just tedious as well just to watch.
It was annoying. And then speaking of subs, 71st minute, Joel Anderson does come in for Nichelle Prince. And you're not expecting, that's not a like for like. Anderson is more of a cam, a pushing, attacking midfielder, and Prince was playing up top. So was she going to 3-6-1 or what? I don't know what she did right there. Joel did kind of stay high. She did get a nice, pretty shot off. But that sub didn't make sense to me at the same time as well. And then the 80th minute is when Ordonez comes in. I forget who she. I think she came in for a Alozie too. So you're taking a Alozie off, who probably might have been running out of gas, but I don't think so. So then you poured Ordonez in. So now Ordonez is back up top by herself again, and you got Anderson and then Alves playing behind her. And then in the 90th minute, which I really don't count this sub because I think it was just 5 minutes of extra time. Barb comes in for Alves, and that's a little bit of a late sub. When then, yeah, Barb right
Yes,
there,
sir.
your jersey, bro. And again, two subs are not being used off and wasted away when you have everything to lose, and maybe Sarah knows that she's not, her resume is not being looked at for the coaching job, and so she didn't have everything to lose. She's like, just let's go try to win the game, and that's what she thought she was doing. But I mean, come on, you gotta try to win. Gotta try to win with this. So the subs 2 weeks in a row did not use all her subs and made subs late when subs should have been made earlier. So uh, you know not to bash Sarah, how much I love Sarah and support Sarah. But, I think just right off the bat, there were just some mistakes made today. And of course, a few of those could be hindsight because, you don't know how the game's going to turn out until the game's played. And it was definitely played. But you said it again, third game in a row with the same lineup. And it would have been the fourth game in a row. But I think Alozie got that red card back then. So she wasn't even available for one of the games Sarah coached. So it probably could have been four lineups straight in a row. So she didn't make any adjustments, didn't make any changes. And another one that, besides the subs, and I'll let you talk about that or give your opinion on that, was, punt again. I mean, come on. I'm not believing in her on that left side, especially in a three back there. She's just not doing it for me right now. And I know we miss Chappie. I don't know where the hell Chappie fell off
Yeah,
into a black hole or something. But there, there's options, man. Didn't give Prysock one chance. Since
you're
she
probably
was in
upset
here the
about
four.
that one.
Yeah. Well, I am just just looking at things, and you can try things. You could try things at practice, and you think that's how it's going to look on during the game. But games are always a little bit different. But she didn't even try. Didn't even try. Didn't even try with Ryan Gary's. It's not like Ryan Gary's is a superstar, but she has some talent and can be used in its particular way. Past 2 weekends, the past two games where we're losing or getting ready to lose, or we're tied and need a win. Like it's just some questions to be asked when it comes to Sarah Loudon's decisions right there. So maybe she does need to work a little bit, study a little bit more. I don't know, but I guess we'll judge that whenever the Dash finally do decide to hire that coach, and we'll be like, no, that Sarah was the coach instead of that person, unless we find somebody that's got a good resume. Lady had a good resume, but not as a head coach.
Yeah.
He had great mentors, like you see Pep and all his people that come out. Bill Belichick with the Patriots, all his coaches that have come out from under him and done very well. So assistants can do it. Just Lady, just sucked it up big time. So that's my little bit of my take on the sub situation and punt the game right there, and a little bit of Sarah Loudon too at the same time.
Yeah, and the last thing I wanted to ask you, especially you, since you had the refereeing experience, is that I feel like Marta definitely like sold that penalty to the referee, since it looked like she kind of leaned towards like Katie, just so it can seem like she like tripped her. What do you think?
All right, so first off, I'm super biased. I can't
Yeah,
stand Marta. I can't stand Marta. She can take a crap on the field, and I'm gonna laugh at her. I'm not gonna be embarrassed for her. No, I'm just kidding. But I don't like her as a player. Just kind of like Rapino. I don't like Rapino as a player either, just because of her little attitude that she shows on the field. But uh, Marta didn't. To her Marta's credit, she didn't show any of that crap on the field. She's just, man, I just don't like her. But you're right, and it was a little bit of incidental contact. Lynn slowed that. She knew she was outpaced, and she slowed down to get behind Marta and get goal side. And at the same time, Marta slowed down. It was really, really hard to tell if Marta was actually clipped or if Marta was smart enough to make it look like she was clipped and go down. And obviously, it worked in her favor. VAR approved it, and I watched the replays too. There was no disproving it, saying that Marta wasn't even touched. There wasn't a bunch of angles, anyways. I don't think there's only like two angles, and you couldn't tell. So there's no overturning the calls. So it's hard to tell. As a referee, we were watching it on TV, but the referee was in that directly behind position, and I'm saying probably from the referee's perspective, she probably thought, hey, look, her legs were clipped. Her legs were clipped. It's in the box, and that's a penalty. Tough call to make. Tough call to make, because the very next touch, the ball was kicked out of bounds too. So was the ball being kicked out of bounds and she tripped, and because and then of course it's a tough call with 4 minutes left in the game, 0-0, and you give up a friggin' penalty. But that goes back to where that should have been Jacobs on that side, who is a little more quicker than Lind. So I guess that's just my perspective on that dang call. I don't know. It's a flip of a coin whether I would have called it or not. Probably siding with the referee here from just thinking where that referee is and the view that referee had. It's, I guess it's got to be a call. But then if you don't call it and VAR goes and looks at it, I don't know if you can. Well, they probably would have been like, yeah, she was tripped, because it was hard to tell if she was touched or not. They probably would have said she was touched. So who knows, man? That was just a tough one right there. Like I said, with 4 minutes to go, frustrating. Sums up the season pretty much.
yeah, and with two different coaches, which just sucks. Like this is as a year for Dash, because I feel like mostly everything or almost everything went wrong. Definitely, there were some highlights when it comes to how certain players developed. Obviously, one of them being Jane Campbell, easily the team MVP. I want to save it for like the full season review, but I mean, we have to say it, like Jane Campbell kind of saved the season for the Dash. It's kind of obvious at this point. Just the fact that they've been able to win some other games. It was just thanks to her, really. And
Well, even
I'm
Glenn
just
Davis tweeted that today. Whenever like in NWSL said like Iron Women of the season, they mentioned the players that played all 22 games of the season. Jane Campbell was one of them. I think she only missed one game, and it was a Challenge Cup, and she didn't miss. They started Alvarado, and then Alvarado got hurt, and Jane Campbell still played the game. So she played all 22 games, but Davis, he tweeted and said, there's points that she saved, at least double digit points that she saved for the Dash this season, or it could have been a lot worse than what it was. Instead of finishing 10th, we definitely could have finished in 12th and been last in the friggin' league. So yeah, Jane Campbell, as much as I talked about her at the beginning of the season, is the player of the year for the team,
yeah.
100%. Maybe 99%, and Didasco can get honorable mention.
Yeah, and we'll try to save it for the full review, but I just have to put it out there because we've said it a couple times already, but like it with like our main assessment for Campbell to start the season, it was just like negative, just based out of how last year turned out. But she was definitely a way different player this year, and I'm happy about that. It's probably like the best highlight of the year so far. But
Absolutely. She was making
well,
the decisions that she
yeah,
needed to make this year. Yeah. Yeah. I ain't worried about talking about some things today because in the review, it's going to be Theo talking a lot and we'll give our opinions too at the same time. So it's okay. But yeah, so thank you, Jane Campbell, for the job you're doing. And I hope the U.S. camp acknowledges you and at least
yeah.
invites you over during the off season.
So yeah, looking forward for her to get back on the national team because it's been too long and it's just unfair at this point. But she deserves it, and I hope she gets the call soon. But yeah, we'll leave it at that. I'm kind of sad that this is probably the last time we'll talk about Dash outside of the full season review coming up. Um, it's now down to Dynamo. It's it,
DTFO, man.
no,
Be an
yeah, it's
interesting off season.
no, yeah, especially for the Dash, but obviously we're now to switch to the Dynamo because even though they were on bye week this past week, a couple things happened like in the background. Artur getting signed to a new contract with the team. He's going to be staying for 2 more years with an option for 2026 and 2027. So potentially 4 more years, which is well deserved. Like he absolutely tore the season apart. Like he was peak Juan David Cabezas like back in the good season with the Dynamo. Like he was literally that kind of player for the team, and obviously it wasn't like that obvious because like Achache stole the show for the midfield as well as Coco, but like Artur like did his thing quietly, and I'm glad that we resigned him.
He was, going through the season and seeing people's comments throughout the season. Achi was getting a lot of recognition with the assist and even some of those goals he made. But Arthur was getting a lot of recognition as well. Just securing the defense and just being the setup guy for the defense, and then the defense just having a great year. So, like you said, well deserved. Uh, I think this was probably a pretty obvious extension that needed to be made. Being that he was out of contract, we just got him for the 1 year, and he proved himself. And did he want to stick around? Hell yeah, he did. He was a 4 year contract, like you said, 2+2. So we have a CDM for the next 2 years, sold 100%, and we'll see how he as he grows in those 2 years, and then the option years could be important as well. But that goes back to where Asher says, let's bring in champions. And Arthur was one of those. And here we go. Proved to be right. So good, good, good extension right there.
So yeah, and the other one that definitely made me happy was the team also re-signing Ethan Barlow to a new contract. It's not the same as Artur's. Is still going to be like a 2 year contract with an option for 2026. So maximum of 3 years potentially. And I was very happy for this one, and not only because of his performance like this year, but also the fact that he went through like a really bad year for Dynamo last year. If you can recall, like he had to go through the whole season with a concussion issues, or just like staying inactive for all year really, and like he just comes in 2023, and he's like a different player. Like he's involved, he's playing games, and he's gonna play you like those solid games that he's gonna make a difference. And he was that type of player, and I was happy at the fact that he just like he put like he his presence was felt on the field, like, and in the biggest moments for the team as well, because the back line was definitely a situation with the team, especially when teenage got injured and there were some rotations going on at the same time, and he stepped up big time, and I'm very happy that he's staying here still, and obviously his massive improvement from last year.
Yeah, man. You know, those of y'all that listened to Dynalytics last year know that I'm a Bartlow fan, and during the offseason, we were saying Bartlow's going to be the center back for the next season. It was an argument between Bartlow and Steres, and we're like, no, it's going to be Bartlow. It's going to be Bartlow and Hadebe. It's going to be Bartlow and Hadebe. It's going to be Bartlow and Hadebe. And I stuck with it, stuck with it, stuck with it, even in Enchada. And sure shit not, game one comes and it's Bartlow and Hadebe, and Bartlow gets to start. Now this is a reassuring. It's not an obvious extension or that expected. With the not the a lot of playing time that he had this year, sitting on the bench and being and disappearing there for a while, and Ben not using him. But it's great to know that he's going to be Shevchenko's backup, and when Eric needs a break, Bartlow's going to come in. And right now, we still have Hadebe and Mikhail on the left, so that'll be uh, obviously Hadebe will be a decision to be made right there on that left side, and you have Mikhail. If you let Hadebe go, or you re-sign Hadebe at a lower contract, take him off that DP status, you're going to have Mikhail and Hadebe, and I'm okay with that. With those two rotating back and forth with as many games as we're going to be playing next year, CCC, the friggin' MLS, Open Cup, Leagues Cup again.
Leagues Cup again.
Yeah, so forget it. Let's go with it. So those are my four center backs for next year. Solid, and then you're still gonna have Stairs, and I'm good. I think Stairs still has one more year on his contract, and I'm good with it because Stairs can play anywhere on that back four, anywhere on that back four, and he still brings his game, and he's dependable and reliable, and I'm glad that we have him as well. So I think we do need to re-sign Dorsey back there to make sure it stays solid back there. You still have Escobar, uh, so there'll be some other options. We've got friggin' somehow we got to delete Chase Gasper because we still have him for 2 more years. Got to delete him somehow. I don't know. I don't know how you do that. It's like Chase Gasper, which doesn't cost us nothing, but he's still a friggin' man on the roster. And then, Sebas Ferreira. Somehow we got to figure out how to delete those guys. Get them off the team, and open up the DP from Sebas, and just open up that spot, senior spot from Chase Gasper. Who, Jesus Christ, if I knew he had 3 years left on his contract when he was on waivers, I would not have done that. I'm hoping that we put him back on waivers, and that's probably the best option to do. Put him back on waivers. Hope someone picks him up. If they don't, we just got to pay him, and then he becomes a free agent, which I don't think we owe him much anyway. So just suck it up, Buttercups, and get him off the roster. Unless you really think he is something, which I hope not. Please hope not. So you still got Brad Smith. I don't know if Tate Schmidt was more than 1 year. He'll be back, and see if he'll be given an opportunity in preseason. So we got options back there. So Bartlow was just the start of solidifying that defense back there. So I'm happy with that signing as well. Very happy.
Like, I was thinking about like the contract buyout mechanism for MLS. I think each team only gets one per year, and so I was wondering if they could resort to that. So either that or 2024 is going to be the revenge year for Chase Gasper. Like he's gonna just completely turn things around for Dynamo. Like that'll be insane, but that's kind of too optimistic, too much
You're,
OSG.
Yeah, you're dreaming in the stars, brother. You're dreaming in the stars right there. Yeah, for real. Uh, man, I don't know. No, thank you.
Yeah,
No, thank you. But with Gasper, like you could put him on dose and let him try to learn, but you saw how bad he was for dose, even. But speaking of dose, there's the team has not announced this yet. But we heard it through the grapevine. Um, well, we'll just say Dynamo Fan TV has told us that, and he put it on his Instagram too as well. I believe that Jacob Evans and Yathan Juarez have both will not be returning to the Dynamo next season and must look on for another venture. Yathan Juarez, I'm okay with. You have Isaiah Flores over there, who's very versatile and can play any position on that left side. But Juarez, he's speed, he's talented, but he's so little, and he does get pushed around a little bit, and I just don't see him being an MLS fit. And then Evans, who's had plenty of opportunities, he is a midfielder type. I don't think he can play that wing in the MLS. So there's no room in our midfield for Evans. So that's probably a smart move and a mutual decision from the team and him to move on. And so I expect both of those to most likely pop up in the USL.
no, and I can see it. And USL has been like a pretty good destination when it comes to those type of players that are obviously looking for the next to play at the next level, or just trying to get through MLS, like in a different scenario, just to have like a pretty good just to just keep playing really. But that USL is pretty tough, and it's definitely like a good stepping stone if the players take advantage of that. But yeah, and I think you already discussed it like a while back, but it's pretty much how it's gonna work. Either you fit, or you're gonna have to look for other opportunities to keep playing, because it may not be they may not like stick with you for the next couple seasons, and that's what happened here. And we'll wish them all the best, and I just hope they find their footing pretty soon.
Yeah, and we still got some more Dynados players that we need to figure out and hear about. Which, I mean, since we did two today, or we found out about two today, we'll probably find out about some more in the coming days or whatever as they decide to start looking on. And and don't forget that these kids are still young, so they have the opportunity to go to college at the same time. Obviously, Evans doesn't being 24 or 25 years old, but some of these players that are on the team can choose to go to college, which I don't remember if we have anybody that was like at that point in their life. A couple of them were a little younger and still working through it. So it'd be curious to see what was going on. Talon Maples is one that I believe is out of contract, and he's going to have to figure out. We've talked about this before. He's got to figure out what he's going to do, or is there a place with the Dynamo for him? So it could be curious. Could be curious. It could hinge on what Hadabi does and what the Dynamo do with Hadabi to see because if you don't, then Maples could be the guy that gets the shot to come to the first team and be that fourth back, because Bartlow did play on the left some. So curious, curious. Off season is going to be interesting. I just hope they don't make weeks and weeks without any information.
No,
But
yeah,
we're
and
hey,
I feel like it's gonna be that
before you go,
way.
we're
Like,
going to have to yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say that it might just be that way because like there's gonna be like weeks that we don't have like any information right around until like the Dynamo playoffs, and also that's just ended their season, so we're needing news for more news on that. So I feel like we'll be okay for now. There's gonna be like news floating here and there for sure.
Yeah, and let's not forget to say, and of course we're in the playoffs, so our off season doesn't hit yet. So that there's you're still working in other areas, but your players obviously can have their agents looking around and stuff like that, trying to find a new home or negotiating a new contract. But being in the CCC, our season does start a little earlier next year than we're typically used to at the end of February. So there will be some hustle. So our off season is going to be December, January, and that's it. That's it.
Yep.
So we're going to have to, get, and I say December and January, but there's a possibility the MLS Cup's in December, the first or the 9th of December. So our off season can be very short. It's going to feel like a Premier League off season, and soccer is year round, bro. I like it, but
Yeah.
that's where MLS needs to come in and allow for some depth and. Uh, I mean, we do get 30 people on the roster. You're allowed to use 20 per game, so uh, uh, it's okay. It just make it easier for them to call up those players. I think is what the MLS needs to loosen up on, so that you can borrow your players from the other team instead of having to sign them to like a 10-day contract or whatever like that. Just make them introversible right there. And if they play so many minutes, then you have to put them on a supplemental or senior contract.
No, it definitely works. There's definitely a discussion behind uh, adding more flexibility to roster rules, especially with MLS adding more competitions and more games to the schedule. And just sticking to the past when it comes to like having restricted rosters, and obviously the salary cap is a big conversation point. And yeah, it's just a lot of discussions through that, but that they need to catch up, because if they're gonna add all these games, they have to add relief for players to rest, and also that flexibility so other players can get their chance to shine.
And we were lucky. We the injury bug didn't get us at all this year, dude.
Yeah,
Only Hadebe and Schmidt, the only two that were injured the entire friggin' season. The entire friggin' season, bro. We
and
had
I
everybody
guess you
else.
I guess you can kind of Chara too, but he hasn't played a game yet, so
Well,
he's
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So he'll be. That's one that'll be back next year, though. So he'll be available, hopefully, unless he
Well,
hurts his damn knee again. So that'll
he
that'll
better
be
be he better
interesting.
be back next year. I want to see him play.
I want to see him play too because I like what he can bring. Now it's second knee surgery, so how much spark is he going to have? But we let Franco go back home at the end of his loan. Sorry, Franco, but um, and Acharo comes in, but Acharo doesn't take his spot because he's already on the team. So I think Franco has to go just because we need that roster spot and go out there and look for something to help improve the team. And there'll be a couple others that'll be let go or won't re-sign or whatever, and those spots will come open, and we'll be able to fill those spots with other people. Right now not DPS, but we can work on that. We'll see what happens.
But yeah, and honestly, I feel like I should do it for this one, and I feel like there's been a lot of points we've been talking about for a few of the episodes, but it's just good to to recap, especially with Dynamo in playoffs now, and depending on how far they go in the playoffs, hopefully after MLS Cup, but but yeah,
Well,
it's
speaking of
just fun to
them,
think
like
about.
with everything that's happened, like we said last time, these games that happened this past weekend, the Dynamo are now in fourth because RSL tied their game against LA Galaxy, so they didn't jump us. So we're still in fourth place, which means a win secures us a home field advantage in the first round of the playoffs in that best of three, and gives us a top four seed, which also could mean hey. The chance of hosting maybe another game if there's upsets in the first round too at the same time. So Dynamo can finish as high as two and only as low as six. But if you win, you secure a top four for sure. For sure. And LAFC doesn't have an easy game, and I think Seattle's at home. And in Portland, Glenn Davis posted this tweet today. I think they were 5-2-2 since we kicked their butts 5-0 in Houston. So they had two losses, two ties, but they had five wins, and they put themselves in a playoff spot because they were not in the playoff push whenever we defeated them. They fired their coach, and now they're pushing. They're in a playoff spot. Final game of the season, decision day at home for Portland. They're going to bring the noise. They're going to be loud. They're going to be proud, and we're going to have to bring our A game. That it's going to be tough. And I believe rumor is Coco's not going to play the second game for Panama, so he'll have the full week of rest because I think they played on Saturday. So he'll have the full week of rest to relax before he as he returns back to the Dynamo. Xavier Valdez playing for Dominican Republic. I know he had a 5-0 shutout on Friday, I believe, and he's playing currently as we speak, but I don't know the score of that game or the update of that game. And I felt like there was another player that got to an opportunity, but I don't think so. But, and then of course Achi didn't go play, and USA getting their butts kicked by Germany. Jesus Christ! But
Yeah. Well, they didn't call up Griffin Dorsey, so what can we say?
Maybe they should playing against Ghana, because you got to match speed with speed.
Yep.
Not like Dorsey's got a lot of
call
speed.
up Griffin already. You gotta call him up either way. But
call him up.
No, yeah, guys. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. Stay noodle, y'all.
H is up.